So how are we gonna make money with them? Now we get to feed. Goats will eat anything. We've heard that, I've heard that my whole life. Wow, goats will eat anything. I got some good goat hay. None of the cows are nothing to eat. I got some goat hay I'll sell you cheap. I don't want it. Because they ain't gonna eat it. It's probably moldy. They're gonna die from it. They ain't gonna get no nutrition from it. I don't know, I've never had horses, but I'm dare to say that a goat's just about as picky as a horse. They're very picky about what they eat. And they'll eat stuff in different stages. Like there's a weed, like I was talking in my pasture, they won't eat it at all now. But after the frost hits it the first time, dude, they tear it up, tear it down, it's gone for the winter. It must change the sugars or something content in it, they'll eat it then. So goats need forage and they need roughage. A lot of words here, my wife fussed at me for this slide. She said, that's too much, take it out, but I didn't, I left it. But they need roughage, and the reason they need long fibers is long fibers, when they eat those fibers, they have to work the ruminant to digest that stuff. So when those fibers get into the ruminant, they make the ruminant work, which creates the bacteria, which starts to ferment all of that stuff. Especially in wintertime, they need long fibers because that fermentation is what their internal heat source is, right? That's what makes them stay warm. They've got this internal heat. You see them regurgitate, they chew it up again, they swallow it back, fermentation continues. So they have to have some sort of long fibers. Now you can give it to them in hay, they can get it in the browse and pasture. We make goats into little cows. They would rather do your browse and autumn olive and all that. They would rather do that than eat the fescue in the pastures. These are protein tubs that I put out in the winter. You can see the grass is down, so I got hay here, and I add protein, which helps them bugs and the ruminant to do the fermentation, so it helps produce more of that fermentation. This is these tubs here, a lot of people run just a cattle tub, which is fine, but these tubs are made for sheep and goat. They're high fat, high protein, and they're a baked tub, so they're kind of hard. And I know that you're thinking, how long do they last? About 15 to 18 head will run about 4 weeks on one of those in my pasture. And they're 200 pounds. So a 200-pound tub will run about 3 to 4 weeks. Now the very first tub you put in might run 2 weeks because it's brand new. They're missing some kind of nutrients, they're missing some protein, they're gonna hit it. Don't let the next one run out for 2 weeks before you put that one in. Put another tub in there, keep them running. Always keep one, and then they self-regulate themselves, and that has a regulation something in it, either some salt or some hot, spicy something. They go eat, they come back, they go eat, and come back. All right? And then there's also sack grains, which is like feeds. I do feed my goats. My herd of mamas, they get, you know, about a pound maybe when they're in gestation, which means when they're bred, they get a pound they get 1 to 2%, which is usually a pound to 2 pounds because they average 100 pounds about every second or every third day. And number one, that helps them grow the baby, it helps them stay nice, it helps them get ready to produce all that milk. And when I go out with a bucket, I can yell at them and man, they're coming. I'll come to the barn, I'll close the door, I can catch them up, I can look at them all, I can treat them. So bucket training a goat is the easiest way to take care of them there's ever been. But I use a feed mill, and I've been working on a mix that they got for me, and then we've been adjusting it, and now I run about a 16% protein. I was at 18%, the kids were growing amazing, but they were still very lean. And if you're gonna be in my business, they need to have a little flesh on them when they walk into the sale ring in these invitationals. So I want to drop the protein to 16%, increase my fat from 2% to 5%, so I run a 16% with a 5% fat, and I've got a wonderful guy at the mill who's got me a great mineral pack and mix in there. My goats run, you know, they're always slick, they look oily like a good set of cows do. And I keep a Combach, which is just what my local feed store has, mineral out, loose mineral 24/7, just as needed. And it's according to the time of the year when they hit that. You can kind of see it I just took one of these tubs up here and I poured out. It gets wet, I got some holes in the bottom of that thing. It gets wet, it kind of clumps up a little bit, but then water runs out and you just scrape it around. Any questions about feed? Am I boring you to death? We're what? We only got 5 minutes left, right? So, now here's to what can the goat do for me? How can I make money off this goat, right? So this is what we're all looking at. We need them to pay us somehow a little bit, at least unless you just want to run a hobby. We need them to pay us a little bit on back so we can afford to buy feed for them. So how are we going to make money with them? Number one is we sell goats for meat. That's the easiest way to do. You raise them till they're about 60, 70 pounds, 50, 60, 70, whatever your market holds, and you need to do that. My market right now is 50 pounds. If I can get them to 50 pounds, I got a buyer that'll buy them all at 50 pounds. If they're 40, he gives me number twos for them because he's gonna have to take them to his farm, raise them out to 50 pounds, invest a little more money in them, and then sell them. If they're 50 pounds or more, I get $3.10 a pound is what it was this year. My number twos were $2.60 a pound. So I took a load of 11 goats and made a $1,300 check, which is not bad for 11 50-pound goats, 40 to 50-pound goats. And that only took me 3 months on the mama. She done the first 3 months. I fed her, right, but kept her. And then I put them on a creep feed for about a month and then took them, got them off the farm because I don't have enough room to keep them forever. I wish I did. But now I still got all the doelings left as well. Replacement stock and breeding stock. This is my number one market for me, replacement and breeding stock. This is what market I'm trying to hit. It may not be what you want to do. You may just want to raise meat, and that's perfect and that's easy. So I'm trying to raise the right breed, the right names on the pedigrees, the right looking stock, the healthiest stock, got good bloodlines, and that's for me. Grazing business. We'll show some pictures of some grazing business in just a second. There's a lady, Ann Peischel, a really good friend of mine. She's the lady who brought the first 4 Kiko bucks to the United States from New Zealand. And I've got a video if you ever want to see her. She tells about how she bet her whole life savings. She was living in Hawaii, run a 500 head herd for a man there who was doing brush clearing, and they were all dying, and she kept hearing about these goats. She went to New Zealand and seen how they were raised, and she's like, okay, she bet her whole life savings, had them brought from New Zealand to Hawaii. Took about 2 months, you know, paying to get them brought by ship, had to let them stay in quarantine for so long. But she used to sell the leather, and she had an Indian tribe that bought the leather for drums because the goat leather made the best drum. She even sold the scrotums to them for something they did that was traditional. I mean, she sold every part of everything. And then you can think outside the box a little bit. And this was by chance for me. This actually happened on my farm. My high school students knows that I raise goats, and they love to see pictures. I got pictures on my desk of goats. Well, it comes prom season, and they're like, I've got babies during prom season. Can we come have pictures made? So we've started having pictures made with goats for prom. Who would have ever thought I could make a little money off of prom pictures with goats? And they do goat yoga. So if you can do goat yoga, I can do goat prom pictures, right? So you gotta think outside the box a little bit. And then they become food for us. Has any of you ever had goat meat before? I like it. It is like a beef to me, but it just has a sweet flavor. We use most of our goat meat, honestly, as ground. Now, the steaks are small. If you're cooking goat, if you've ever cooked venison, you have to cook goat like venison. It tastes nothing like it, but it's so lean, if you're not careful, it's going to be like shoe leather. So that's why we do a lot of it in ground meat. So this is a goat scaping business. He's like 23 years old. He's become a good friend of mine. He bought goats for me, and I wish he was here to say what he said to me. It really made me feel well. He needed goats, he thought. So he's went and bought a herd of milk goats, and then this lady sold him a herd of boars, and then he had to have the right number of goats. Well, he had his kids this year. We've been extremely wet, extremely hot, extremely humid, and in last month, which would be June, right? June or July, he lost 30 head of babies and goats. No matter how hard he tried to keep them alive, he'd call me, what I need to treat with one. They just kept dying. They kept dying. It was all parasites. He had necropsies done. It's parasites. It's parasites. He said, I started looking, and the only goats that weren't dying was your goats, the Kikos. Specifically, he had bought them from me. Does it matter that they're mine? Probably not, but it's because I've had the bloodlines, and he buys my, like if I have a goat that has an extra teat or other problem, I sell them to him. He don't care. My breeders don't want that when they're buying New Zealand's, right? So he buys my culls because of udder problems or structure problems, and he buys wethers. I'll castrate them, and he buys them to work. He said, I started looking around, and all I've got left are your goats. He said, I've got a few of those ones. So I've learned a lesson, just like we were talking earlier. Where to buy your goats, you just need to be careful. The kind, do your research. If it's not Kiko's, buy what you want, but do your research and know that. But this is, he's getting paid $600 to $1,200 an acre as a 25-year-old just to do large projects. And then he said where he has hit the jackpot is in Charlotte, which is a big town in our area. He took to this one development that had this little ivy problem. Well, he put 6 or 7 goats in there at $16 a head per day, which is higher because he's having to travel an hour and a half to 2 hours. And he's the people there are making sure the water stays good. And it's become more of a petting zoo. They're rich, they got plenty of money, and the neighbor up the street is like, hey, they've got goats. My kids would love to see. So he said he's just been bouncing from house to house to house to house up the street, making the bling just like crazy because these people want the experience of having the goats out there. So he's really found his niche in grazing. He still does the big jobs, but he loves to get in one of these little developments. Yes, sir.
So for an operation like his, he goes in and he installs temporary fencing?
Yes.
And then tears it all out when
Yep.
it's done?
Yep, just puts it in and pulls it out. He's working on a new system, and hopefully it's going to work. They're there. It's going to be an investment for them, but they're making GPS collars for goats now, and they hang like a big bell, but they've got a solar charger on them and all. And you can go on your phone and pull up the GPS map, and you can just draw out on your phone where you want them to stay, and then you wouldn't have to put in any fencing. The only thing that worries them about that is predators, is the big thing. But, you know, sometimes he's spending a couple hours of weed whacking to get the fence in. But he's putting in some kind of temporary fence, and he's running a dog with him right now in the big jobs. The little jobs, he's not running a dog. He's just got that Premier One sheep and goat netting around him. And he just moves it along and leaves the trailer backed up for them to have a shelter. He's got a water system, like a 50-gallon barrel just bolted to the front of his trailer, and a hose from that to a water tank in the back with a little float valve in it, which keeps his water full. And if it needs filling, the house owner just fills the barrel up. I mean, he's doing great. He had a really good plan, a really good job plan, and I'm really proud of him. I mean, he's really took a chance and loves it. He's actually had to hire another employee full-time to help him. He's doing great. 25 years old and doing amazing. And I like to sell my goats to him too. So seed stock, replacement, breeding stock, this was at an Indiana sale. This is definitely not my buck. I wish I could say it was, but this buck was bred with like some older lineage. It was an AI bred buck. I watched that buck bring $8,000 that day, and this was the second goat I ever sold at a sale, and she sold for $800. So I was hooked, right? I've sold. That's pretty good for me. That's probably above average for me now, but it's my first year in the sale. Hopefully they'll go home and do well for people, and I'll build. It's just like any business you're building. I have sold the highest selling goat's been $1,300 they're ever sold. So that was a pretty good profit on that goat. But you know, this is out of the ordinary, 8,000. I saw 11,000 buck, a $14,000 buck, a $15,000 doe, a $13,000 doe. But those are 6 or 7 animals over the course of 3 or 4 years going to these sales. But it is not uncommon, once you're a well-known breeder and bring in a well-built doe with a good pedigree, $2,000 to $4,000 is very common. So there is money in seed stock. But now think about, you have to spend $3,000 on a buck or $1,000 on a buck, and then you have to get the other animals in to match that. I'm sorry.
No.
And then of course, then there's the meat. I want to go over something real quick. I'm over my time. I apologize for that. Just so you know, when you're doing your goats, if you want to produce meat to sell, on average, they're about a 30 to 40% yield. So I put 35%, 100, and that's live weight. So it's around 35%, give or take 5% yield on a goat. So if it weighs 100 pounds, you're going to get an average of 35-ish pounds of meat off of that carcass. So there's a pretty low yield on them.
So your 50-pound goats is 17, 18 pounds.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Now, if you're doing one for yourself, in my area, my butchers are going to charge you $120 if it's 2 pounds or if it's 100 pounds. So if I'm doing one for myself, I like to weather one, get it about 100 pounds, and then I'm going to end up with about 35 pounds of ground. Yes, sir.
You said you weather, so you don't take anything else besides that?
I do. I mean, there's some people, some ethnic populations only want them unweathered. So that's, yes, sir. For me, I like them weathered. I think I can taste the difference. Some people say they can't, but for me, I'll weather them. I'll feed, they get a little bit of grain probably as they're growing out in the creek feeder. So they're grass and grain fed. And then my plan next is to take some, maybe Chuck and Saunders from Sheraton Park Farm, maybe some of their pork fat and add to mine. And the only reason is it's so lean, you can't make a burger out of it. It won't hold together. So I think I'm gonna try to add a little pork fat just so I can do goat burgers, cause they're amazing. I really just.
So when you weather yours, what age do you weather yours?
I like to do mine right after, probably right around weaning time. Usually for me, it's as they're coming through the chute and I'm separating does and bucks, and the ones that I'm looking at for bucks, I'll leave a little longer, but then they get weathered, I band them then.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what we kinda do. It depends on the market we got and the people that's wanting them, whether I weather them early.
Yeah.
Cause some of my cause we raise dairy goats.
Right.
So we try to get some of our weathers, we want them big, cause a lot
Yes.
of people want pack goats.
Yep.
So try to go to that 6 month, 7 month deal before we California ban them.
Right.
Just to try to get them big, but
Yeah.
then you gotta deal with 15 bucks running around.
Yeah.
It's a headache.
Yep, absolutely. And they're trying to jump past
Oh,
you
yeah,
to get in
so-
with the doilies and stuff. Any other questions? I hope I haven't bored you to death. I hope that this hit the right things that you talked about. When I asked why, it sounded like I was kind of on the right track. If you have any questions for me, I'll be here all day. I love to talk goats. I'll be happy to answer any questions now, later, catch me anywhere. But thank you very much for coming. I appreciate your attention. And the last slide, I do a YouTube channel. If you get a minute and want to see me, right there's my, you can go and check me out a little bit. That's my QR code that'll send you to there.